to be here today with other representatives of parts of the Wisconsin Criminal Justice Coalition. The Wisconsin District Attorneys Association is represented by DA Toney. We also have with us State Public Defender Kelly Thompson, Dane County Assistant DA Annie Jay from the Association of State Prosecutors, and we're joined as well by Nikki Ream, who's the administrator of the Wisconsin State Crime Labs. First, I just want to say a couple words about the Criminal Justice Coalition. This is a group that has worked together for the last 3 state budgets, and the basic philosophy behind what we've been doing is simple. Number one, we think there are critical investments that need to be made in the criminal justice system in Wisconsin. And number two, we want to work together because the justice system is exactly that, it's a system. And making sure that each of the component parts of the system are funded helps ensure that justice can happen efficiently and that our communities are kept as safe as possible. We've had some progress in this budget from the perspective of the Justice Coalition. There was a significant investment that's been made by the Joint Finance Committee in both prosecutor salaries and in defense lawyer salaries. That's going to help ensure that cases are adequately staffed. And today we're here to talk about another critical component of the justice system, and that is the crime labs. We have asked for an investment in Wisconsin State Crime Labs in this budget, and we are here standing united in support of that investment. Now, the crime labs play a critical role in our justice system around the state. Crime lab professionals help solve complex crimes, including homicides, sexual assaults, drug-related offenses, and a number of other crimes. We're asking for investments in a few key areas. First, toxicology. DOJ's forensic toxicology program identifies and quantifies drugs and alcohol and biological samples that are submitted by law enforcement agencies in connection with felony investigations. One of the things we've seen is some trends that make the work that our toxicologists do more complex. One of those is that there has been an increasing prevalence of fentanyl in the drugs that are submitted to DOJ for testing, and fentanyl can be extremely dangerous at very low levels, so making sure that our toxicologists are conducting the kinds of tests that can identify fentanyl is important to ensuring that we're getting it right in those cases. Our analysts have also seen an increasing number of analogs. Those are similar chemical compounds to narcotics that are more broadly known, but that require additional analysis so that the chemists, the toxicologists can determine whether those analogs have been scheduled and are illegal. Our analysts also talk about seeing more mixtures, and so whereas historically there may have been just one drug when testing was conducted, now there may be multiple different drugs, which of course takes more time for analysis. A second area we've required investment is in our DNA analysis. You are all familiar, I'm sure, with how DNA has become an important part of many different types of criminal cases. There's an expectation in a lot of cases that DNA analysis is done. But the technology is also evolving. And a lot of that is really exciting from the perspective of trying to solve crimes. For example, we can now do probabilistic genotyping, which allows our DNA analysts to get results in more cases, particularly cases where there are mixtures. We're also seeing the use of forensic genealogy so that we can identify people who've committed crimes and help to solve cold cases. But again, those more complex ways of analyzing evidence require an investment of resources. And then third, we've requested an investment in our crime scene response team. We have professionals who respond to major crime scenes around the state. That could be homicides or officer-involved shootings. They are available 24/7 to work with law enforcement. The good news is that this has been really well received by law enforcement agencies around the state. Our crime scene response team is in high demand, but ensuring that we have our team fully staffed so that we're not taking analysts away from conducting their analysis helps ensure that we can continue turning around case submissions efficiently. So these are critical investments. I should add that in addition to all that work I described, our crime lab analysts have to spend time testifying in court when cases go to trial. They are often called as witnesses all across the state of Wisconsin. So making these investments can help ensure that our crime lab continues to play the vital role it does in the justice system to ensure that evidence is being tested efficiently and that we are doing as much as we can for public safety. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to District Attorney Toney.
I want to thank Attorney General Kaul for having us all today, Public Defender Kelly Thompson, as well as Annie J with the Association of State Prosecutors. And we also, with our Justice Coalition, the state courts have been a valuable partner in those efforts as well. But there's no doubt that the crime labs in Wisconsin are critical to public safety. As a prosecutor, we use those resources across the state, and everything from a first offense drunk driving to intentional homicides to drug overdoses. And when we talk about the nature of crime lab employees having to testify, we're juggling a circumstance later this month with a couple different counties and different homicides where the analyst has to decide which cases they might be able to make it to. And so from a prosecutor's perspective, we would love to see additional resources to our state crime labs, especially when we talk about the toxicology, and we look at drug driving as an increasing concern here in Wisconsin as well. We normally get ethanol results back relatively in short order, but when looking at those drug panels, it does take longer, and we'd love to see additional toxicologists that can help drive down that turnaround time for the drug driving cases, whether it be fentanyl, marijuana, cocaine, metabolites. Prosecutors would greatly benefit from that, as well as law enforcement. And we've had, I think, a tremendous legislative session so far with joint finance and bipartisan support in adding additional pay to prosecutors, public defenders, as well as the private bar. That public safety is a bipartisan issue, and I've been really appreciative of the leadership of the joint finance co-chairs, Representative Warren, as well as Senator Markline, that have been incredibly responsive to these requests. But looking at the crime labs, they help us secure justice, and they also help vindicate the innocent. And so we would love to see those additional resources, and we're so appreciative of the work of the legislature and what they've been willing to provide thus far, and we would be grateful for additional resources. And want to thank all of you for being here today and helping get this story out there, because you're a part of what's going to help communicate this to the public. So thank you very much, and turn it back over to Attorney General Kaul.
Thank you. Just a couple quick things, and I'm happy to open it up to questions. First, State Public Defender Thompson and ADA Annie J are both here. They passed on speaking today, but they said they're happy to talk to folks offline afterwards, though Annie actually has an appeal in a homicide case later today. So just as a reflection of how much work our prosecutors around the state do to keep our communities safe. I'm also happy to take off-topic questions afterwards, but first we'll open up for any questions on